chosen one. Why are you still breathing? No, I'm serious. Answer me. Why, after everything that tried to kill you, break you, silence you, why are you still here? And why, out of 7 billion souls scrolling through digital noise at this exact second, why did your finger stop right here? This is not another sermon. This is not religious entertainment. This is not me talking at you. This is a divine appointment. And whether you believe it yet or not, heaven intercepted your scroll 37 seconds ago. You didn't find this message. This message found you. Listen to me, and I need you to hear this with your spirit, not just your ears. There are no accidents in the kingdom, no coincidences, no random clicks. The God who knows the number of hairs on your head, who hears every whispered prayer at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep, who counts every tear that's ever rolled down your weathered face, that God just whispered your name. And before you dismiss this, before you tell yourself this isn't for me, before you go back to pretending you're ordinary, let me ask you something that's going to pierce through every lie you've believed about yourself. Why do you feel so different? Why have you spent decades, maybe your entire life, feeling like you don't quite fit? Like there's a frequency playing inside your soul that nobody else can hear? Like you're homesick for a place you've never been? I'll tell you why. And this is going to shock you. You are marked. Not cursed. Not crazy. Not too sensitive. Too intense. Too much. Marked. Chosen. Set apart before the foundation of the world for this exact moment in American history. While everyone else was building their comfortable kingdoms, you were being dismantled. While others were collecting accolades, you were collecting scars. While they were climbing ladders, you were walking through fire. And you thought, God, forgive me. You thought maybe you were doing it wrong. You weren't. You were being forged, refined, prepared for an assignment so sacred, so urgent, so desperately needed in this hour, that it required every single tear, every betrayal, every night you wanted to quit, but didn't. The isolation wasn't rejection, it was protection. The delays weren't denials, they were divine positioning. And that feeling right now, that quickening in your chest, that sudden clarity behind your eyes, that voice inside screaming, yes, this is about me, that's not emotion, beloved. That's recognition. Your spirit just remembered something your mind forgot. You're not watching this by accident. You're not here because YouTube's algorithm got lucky. You're here because before time began, before planets spun, before Adam took his first breath, God wrote your name on this moment. Now, before I go one word further, I need to pause and honor something. To every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks, your generosity moves me to tears. You're not just giving money, you're sowing seeds into a harvest field of hurting souls who need to know they're not forgotten. Whether you give $1 or nothing at all, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your time, your attention, your willingness to let God speak through these words. That matters more than you know. And if this message is already stirring something ancient in your bones, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. But hear me clearly, your value to God has nothing to do with what you give. You're priceless already. So here's what I need from you right now. If you can already feel something shifting, if your hands are trembling, if tears are forming, if your spirit is shouting, finally, someone understands, I need you to type 777 inches the comments. Not for me. For heaven. Let the angels know you heard the call. Let the cloud of witnesses see you stand up and say, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm ready. Because what I'm about to reveal in the next few minutes will shatter every lie you've believed about your age, your past, your purpose, and your future. You are the one chosen to walk after Jesus. Naught behind him in fear, naught beside him in comfort, but after him through the fire, through the mockery, through the rejection, through the cross itself into resurrection, glory that this dying world desperately needs to witness. Your wilderness wasn't wasted. Your waiting wasn't worthless. It was warfare preparation. And the battle you were trained for, it starts now. Are you ready to remember who you really are? Here's what I need you to answer honestly. How many people did you start this journey with? How many friends sat beside you in that church pew 30 years ago, declaring they'd follow Jesus to the end? And how many of them are still walking today? Where did they go? What happened between their altar call and their quiet exit? And why, after everything you've been through, every reason you had to quit, why are you still here? Matthew 22:14, Jesus speaking. And he doesn't sugarcoat it. Many are called, but few are chosen. Many, not some, not a handful. Many heard the invitation. Thousands showed up to the revival. Millions raised their hands at crusades. But when the music stopped, when the emotion faded, when following Jesus meant losing friends, losing comfort, losing the life they'd planned, they turned back. But not you. You see, there's a difference the modern church won't tell you. Being called means God knocked on your door. Being chosen means you opened it, walked through, and kept walking when the road turned dark, when the path got narrow, when everyone else found the exit. Most people want to walk toward Jesus. They love the idea of him, the blessings, the breakthroughs, the miracles. But you've learned something deeper, something that separates the crowd from the chosen. You've learned to walk after him. Through Gethsemane, through betrayal, through the place where he asked God to remove the cup but drank it anyway. That's not Sunday morning faith. That's survival faith. The kind you don't learn in a sanctuary, you earn it in the wilderness. Think about the disciples, 12 chosen men, hand-picked by Jesus himself. They walked with him, ate with him, saw miracles most people only read about. But when the soldiers came to arrest Jesus in the garden, Matthew 26:56 tells us the truth. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled, all of them, gone, scattered like leaves in a storm. But Peter, broken, denying, weeping Peter, he came back. John stood at the cross. The women never left. And after the resurrection, those same frightened disciples became unstoppable. They didn't just believe anymore. They became what they believed. That's you, chosen one. You didn't just survive the storm, you became the kind of person who can guide others through it. While others played checkers, making simple moves for short-term comfort, you've been playing chess with heaven. Every loss positioned you for a greater win. Every delay was a strategic setup. Every closed door redirected you toward the one God already had open. You couldn't see it then, but you can see it now, can't you? You weren't delayed. You were being developed. Heaven wasn't making you wait. Heaven was making you ready. While others shouted for attention, demanding their breakthrough on their timeline, you studied the silence. You learned to hear God in the whisper. You discovered that the most powerful moves happen when nobody's watching. And that's why you're still here. Not because you're lucky, not because you're stubborn, because you carry something they don't: prophetic precision, divine intelligence, the ability to move when heaven says move and stand still when hell says run. You're not just a survivor, you're a finisher. And God doesn't waste finishers on shallow assignments. So let me ask you, after everything you've walked through, after every reason to quit, after every moment you felt forgotten, are you ready to discover why you kept walking when everyone else stopped? Comment, I'm still walking. Not for me, for you. Because that simple declaration breaks every chain of spiritual inertia trying to convince you your race is over. It's not over, beloved. You're just getting started. You thought you were buried, but God says you were planted. Let me ask you something that's going to cut straight through to your soul. What if every year you felt forgotten was actually the year God was forming you? What if every season you thought you were wasting was the exact season heaven was investing in you? You've been in the shadows so long you started believing you belonged there. Started believing the lies that your best days were behind you, that God moved on to younger, shinier vessels, that you missed your moment somewhere back in 1987 or 1995 or whenever that dream died in your chest. But listen to me carefully. The silence wasn't abandonment, it was God's war room. The hiddenness wasn't rejection, It was heaven's strategy. Think about Joseph, 17 years old when he got the dream, 30 years old when he stepped into the palace. But between those two numbers, 13 years of hell, thrown in a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused by a woman whose advances he rejected, forgotten in a prison cell where even the cupbearer he helped didn't remember his name for 2 more years. 13 years of watching the sun rise and set through iron bars, wondering if God made a mistake, wondering if the dream was just a cruel joke, wondering if he'd die in that dungeon with his purpose still locked inside him. But here's what Joseph couldn't see from that cell. Every single day of that imprisonment was building the character he'd need to run an empire. Genesis 41-39 tells us that when Pharaoh finally called for him, he said, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you." The prison wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And you, dear one, you, how many years have you been in your prison? Not bars of iron, but bars of invisibility, bars of being overlooked, bars of watching others get promoted while you stayed in the same place, doing the same thing, feeling the same ache of divine purpose that had nowhere to go. You thought God forgot you, but he was shaping you in the shadows. Moses spent 40 years in Midian, 40 years, tending sheep in a desert, exiled from Egypt, probably convinced his calling died the day he killed that Egyptian and had to run for his life. 80 years old when God showed up in a burning bush and said, "Now you're ready." 80 years old. Think about that. While the world was writing him off as past his prime, God was saying, "This is exactly the right time." Exodus 3 doesn't record Moses arguing because he was young and inexperienced. He argued because he felt old and unqualified. Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh? But God wasn't looking for someone impressive. He was looking for someone broken enough to lean entirely on divine strength. The wilderness wasn't wasted time, it was forging time. And what about Esther? Hidden in a Persian palace, just another girl in the king's harem, seemingly forgotten by her people and her God. But Esther 4:14 reveals the truth. Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this, for such a time as this. Not for easier times, not for convenient times, for the moment when everything hangs in the balance and only someone who's been hidden, refined and positioned can stand in the gap. You see, God doesn't hide his chosen ones because he's ashamed of them. He hides them because the enemy is hunting them. And if Satan had discovered your true identity before you were ready, he would have destroyed you before your season of activation arrived. So God camouflaged you, made you look ordinary while he downloaded extraordinary into your spirit, kept you in the shadows while he sharpened you in secret, let the world overlook you while heaven was equipping you. Every tear you cried in the dark, God collected it. Every prayer you whispered when no one was listening, God recorded it. Every moment you wanted to quit but didn't, God was building something in you that can't be built in comfort. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. And now, right now, the season is shifting. The hiddenness has an expiration date. The cocoon is about to break open. The seed that's been buried in darkness is about to burst through the soil with life that shocks everyone who thought you were dead. The silence wasn't abandonment, it was God's classroom. The shadows weren't your graveyard, they were heaven's workshop. And what he's been shaping in you while no one was watching is about to emerge with such force that the world won't know what hit them. So I need you to type this in the comments right now. I was being prepared. Not buried, not forgotten, not passed over. Prepared. Because the hidden are about to be revealed. And when you emerge from this season, you won't be the same person who entered it. You'll be carrying authority, wisdom, and anointing that only comes from those who've been refined in God's secret place. The question is, are you ready to stop hiding and start walking in everything God forged in you during the silence? But before we go further, I need you to understand something that's going to shake you. The enemy has been watching you, studying you. And when you went silent, when your voice dried up, when your prayers felt like they were bouncing off the ceiling, hell threw a party. They thought they won. They thought the weight of life finally broke you. They thought age silenced you. They thought disappointment stole your voice. They saw you retreat into stillness and assumed it was defeat. But they made a fatal mistake. They confused your silence with surrender. They mistook your stillness for weakness. They didn't realize that when God holds his chosen ones in holy quiet, he's not punishing them, he's preparing them. Let me take you to Isaiah 53 verse 7. Look at Jesus in his final hours. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. The Son of God who spoke galaxies into existence, who commanded storms to cease, who raised the dead with 3 words, stood before his accusers and said nothing. Why? Because there's a power in silence that noise can never access. There's an authority in stillness that chaos can't comprehend. When you stop defending yourself, when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop justifying your existence to people who will never understand your calling, that's when heaven steps in. You've been there, haven't you? Sitting in rooms where people talked over you, standing at tables where your wisdom was dismissed, lying awake at night, replaying conversations where you should have spoken up but couldn't find the words. And you thought something was wrong with you. You thought you lost your voice. But beloved, what if God removed your voice from certain spaces to protect it for sacred spaces? What if he silenced you around foolish people so he could tune you for prophetic purposes? Proverbs 17:28 says, "Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues." But this isn't about playing it safe. This is about divine strategy. God was keeping your voice in reserve because the words he's given you are too valuable to waste on ears that won't hear. Listen to me carefully. Silence is heaven's anesthesia. When a surgeon operates, they don't just cut. First, they sedate. They paralyze the body so it can't resist the procedure. And that's exactly what God has been doing with you. He put you in divine paralysis, not to punish you, but to perform spiritual surgery without your flesh interfering. You felt frozen, stuck, unable to move forward. Every door closed, every opportunity evaporated. Every relationship that once energized you suddenly felt empty, and you cried out, "God, why am I in this prison?" Because prison is where God prepares his generals. Joseph didn't become Prime Minister of Egypt in the palace. He became Prime Minister in the prison. David didn't get his anointing on the throne. He got it in the cave. Paul didn't write his most powerful epistles in freedom. He wrote them in chains. Your stillness wasn't defeat. It was divine detention while God rebuilt you from the inside out. But here's what I need you to understand. While you sat in silence, while you felt forgotten, while your voice seemed to disappear, God was fixing it. He was removing every frequency of fear. He was deleting every tone of trauma. He was erasing every echo of shame that made you whisper when you should have roared. You weren't frozen, beloved. You were being fixed. And the enemy watched you go silent and thought he'd won. He watched you retreat and assumed you'd surrendered. He saw your stillness and concluded you were finished. But he didn't realize that silence is your secret weapon. He didn't understand that God uses stillness to perform miracles that noise could never contain. He couldn't see that every moment you spent in holy quiet was actually heaven, tuning your voice to a frequency that will shatter demonic strongholds. Your silence was warfare. While hell celebrated your quiet, heaven was calibrating your sound. While darkness assumed your voice was gone, God was tuning it to heaven's frequency. You didn't lose your voice. You upgraded it. And now, right now, something is shifting in your throat. Can you feel it? That tightness, that warmth. That's not emotion. That's activation. The voice that was silent for seasons is about to speak with authority that makes kingdoms tremble. They thought you lost your voice, but God was tuning it to thunder. So if this word hits you like truth finally making sense, if something in your spirit just woke up after years of sleeping, If you can feel your voice returning with power you've never known, type "I hear you, Lord" right now. Because that confession doesn't just acknowledge what God said, it opens spiritual frequencies that have been waiting for your agreement. Your silence is over, beloved, and when you finally speak, everything shifts. Let me tell you something that's going to shatter every lie you've believed about your pain. You thought that pit destroyed you. You thought that betrayal broke you. You thought those years of suffering were wasted, meaningless, cruel. But what if I told you heaven was writing a comeback story so powerful that hell itself is about to regret ever touching you? Listen to me, chosen one. Every arrow Saul threw at David didn't kill him, it sharpened his aim. Every night in that cave wasn't isolation, it was instruction. Every betrayal wasn't the end of his story, it was the beginning of his legend. You think you've been surviving? No, you've been training. Look at Joseph. 17 years old with heaven-sized dreams, then the pit, the chains, the false accusations. 13 years of watching those dreams rot in an Egyptian dungeon. His own brothers sold him like livestock. Potiphar's wife tried to seduce him, then destroy him. He saved the cupbearer's life, and the man forgot him for 2 more years. 13 years in hell for crimes he didn't commit. But Genesis 41 changes everything. One morning, Joseph's in prison. That afternoon, he's standing before Pharaoh. By sunset, he's wearing royal robes. By nightfall, he's second in command of the most powerful nation on earth. The pit didn't define him, it refined him. The prison wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And the very people who threw him away, they ended up bowing at his feet, begging for the bread he had authority to give. Every trap they set became the stage for his triumph. Do you hear what I'm saying to you right now? That divorce that tried to destroy your identity, it was actually destroying your limitations. That bankruptcy that tried to erase your future, it was actually erasing your fear of starting over. That diagnosis that tried to sentence you to death, it was actually sentencing your doubt to the grave. You weren't just surviving their story, you were rewriting it with heaven's pen. Think about Serena Williams. They told her she was too powerful, too black, too much. The tennis world tried to box her in, penalize her passion, diminish her dominance. But every fine they gave her only made her fight harder. Every unfair call only sharpened her focus. She didn't just play their game, she changed it. She rewrote the rules. And now, she's not just a champion, she's the standard. Every lie became the ladder that lifted her higher. Or Nipsey Hussle. Grew up in the streets of Crenshaw where most don't make it out. The world wrote him off as just another statistic, but he turned his pain into purpose, his struggle into strategy, his neighborhood into his mission field. Before he left this earth, he'd already rewritten his family's legacy, rebuilt his community, and redefined what success looks like for an entire generation. They tried to write his ending, he wrote theirs. What about Fred Rogers? Soft-spoken, gentle. The world mocked him as weak, outdated, irrelevant. But he looked straight into the camera and spoke to millions of children with a revolutionary message. You are special. You are loved, just the way you are. His gentleness wasn't weakness, it was warfare against a culture of cruelty. He didn't conform to the noise, he became the antidote to it. His whisper became a revolution. And Simone Biles, the greatest gymnast the world has ever seen. When the pressure became unbearable, when the weight of expectations nearly crushed her spirit, she did something the world called failure. She stepped back. She chose her peace over their applause. And in that moment of weakness, she became stronger than any gold medal could make her. She taught a generation that protecting your soul isn't quitting, it's wisdom. Her pause became her power. Now let me ask you something that's going to pierce straight through to your bones. What story have they been writing about you? What narrative have they assigned to your name? Too old, too broken, too late, too damaged, too forgotten. But what if every single one of those lies was actually setting up your greatest plot twist? Romans 8:28 doesn't stutter. And we know that all things work together for good, to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. All things. Not some things. Not the easy things. Not the comfortable things. All things. That means the betrayal working for your good. The bankruptcy working for your good. The abandonment working for your good. The rejection working for your good. The delay working for your good. You weren't just surviving their story, beloved. You were rewriting it with heaven's pen. And the ink? The ink was your tears. The paper? The paper was your pain. The author? The author and finisher of your faith who's been drafting your comeback since before you took your first breath. Your silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. Your pain wasn't pointless. It was prophecy. Your walk after Jesus? It begins right now. So declare it with me. Say it out loud until it shakes the walls around your life. My silence was strategy. My pain was prophecy. My walk begins now. Comment it, speak it, own it. Because the story they tried to write about you, it just got torn up. And the new one, the one heaven's been writing all along, is about to become required reading for everyone who doubted you. Your chapter of triumph has already been written. The only question is, are you ready to step into it? They've been watching you for years, haven't they? Every step you took, every word you spoke, every time you stumbled, they were there, arms folded, eyes narrowed, waiting for the final fall. Your family watched to see if you'd crack. Your friends watched to see if you'd fail. The enemy watched, hoping you'd quit. They analyzed your tears. They documented your struggles. They whispered predictions about your demise. She won't make it. He's too old to change now. Any day now, they'll give up. And you felt it. God, how you felt it. That constant surveillance, that unrelenting scrutiny, like living under a microscope where every flaw gets magnified, every mistake gets catalogued, every weakness gets weaponized against you. But then something happened that nobody saw coming. You disappeared, not in defeat, not in shame, not crawling away broken and bleeding. You vanished in a way that confused them, disturbed them, left them staring at empty space, wondering where you went. One day you were there, visible, vulnerable, accessible to their judgment. The next day, gone. Not physically absent, but spiritually unreachable. They could see your body, but they couldn't touch your soul anymore. They could hear your voice, but they couldn't penetrate your peace. You became untouchable. Isaiah 26:20 says it perfectly. Come, my people, enter your chambers and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself for a little while until the indignation passes. Did you catch that? Hide yourself, not run away, not give up. Hide yourself in God while the storm of human opinion rages outside. You weren't hiding from them, beloved. You were being hidden for God. There's a difference. Hiding from means fear. Being hidden for means preparation. Hiding from means you're running. Being hidden for means you're being refined in secret for a public unveiling that will leave jaws on the floor. David understood this. When Saul's army was hunting him, when assassins searched every cave, when his own nation wanted him dead, he wrote Psalm 27:5. For in the day of trouble he will hide me in his shelter. In the secret place of his tent he will hide me. He will lift me high upon a rock. Did you hear the progression? Hidden in his shelter, concealed in his secret place, then lifted high upon a rock. Your absence wasn't abandonment. Your disappearance wasn't defeat. Your absence was revelation. While they were looking for you in the wreckage, you were being elevated in the secret place. While they were waiting for your funeral, God was planning your coronation. While they were writing you off, heaven was writing your name in the book of remembrance. You didn't leave the room, chosen one. You rose above it. And now, they're confused. They can't figure out why their words don't wound you anymore, why their rejection doesn't break you, why their gossip doesn't reach you. They're still shooting arrows, but you're out of range. They're still setting traps, but you're walking on air. This is the great reversal. The watched one becomes the watcher. The hunted becomes the hidden. The victim becomes the victor. And they don't know what to do with you anymore because you're operating from a place they can't access. You've ascended into a realm of holy untouchability where human opinion holds no weight, where persecution produces no pain, where betrayal births no bitterness. This is what it means to walk after Jesus. He did the same thing. John 8:59, they picked up stones to kill him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple. Not because he was afraid, because his time hadn't come yet. He disappeared when it served the Father's purpose. He ascended when it fulfilled the Father's plan. And on that resurrection morning, when they came looking for his body in the tomb, he wasn't there. He had ascended. The watched one became the risen one. The hunted one became the exalted one. That same power lives in you right now. If you've felt that shift, that sudden, supernatural detachment from human drama, if you've sensed that holy elevation where you're in the world but no longer off it, if you know in your bones that something fundamental changed and you're operating from heaven's frequency now, comment, "I've ascended." Let heaven register your arrival in the upper room, because what's coming next requires you to stay there. Listen to me one last time, chosen one. If you take nothing else from this message, remember this: you didn't stumble here by accident. Your presence in this moment, watching these words, feeling this stirring in your spirit that's divine orchestration. You are marked, you are chosen. And every single thing you've walked through has been preparing you to walk after Jesus in a way this generation desperately needs to witness. You are not too old, you are not too broken, you are not too late. The isolation you felt, that was protection. The delays you endured, that was divine positioning. The disappearance from everyone's radar, that was your ascension into purpose. And now, right now, God is activating what he's been building in secret. But hear me clearly. You are not alone in this. I know the journey has been lonely. I know there were nights when you questioned if anyone understood, if anyone cared, if God himself had forgotten your address. But beloved, he never left. Not for 1 second. And right now, as you're reading this, there is a community of believers, your brothers and sisters in this sacred calling, who are standing with you in prayer, in faith, in unwavering belief that your best days are not behind you, they are ahead of you. So let me ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly, even if it's just in the silence of your heart. Are you ready to stop hiding and start ascending? Are you ready to walk after Jesus, not in fear, but in the fullness of who he created you to be? If the answer is yes, then bow your head with me right now. Whether you're sitting in your living room, lying in your bed, or standing in your kitchen, just close your eyes. Let me pray over you. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I come before your throne right now on behalf of every single person who heard this message. Lord, they are tired, they are weary, they have fought battles no one else can see. But you see, Father. You see every tear, every struggle, every moment they wanted to quit but didn't. I pray right now that you would place your hand on their shoulder. Let them feel your presence in a way that removes all doubt. Remind them that they are not forgotten, not forsaken, not finished. Open doors that no man can shut. Heal wounds that have ached for decades. Restore what the enemy stole. And release them into the fullness of their calling. Give them supernatural strength for the journey ahead. Surround them with divine connections. Protect them from every attack of the enemy, and let them walk in such power, such peace, such purpose, that everyone who once doubted them will have to confess that God is real and he keeps his promises. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Now, if this message touched your soul, I need you to do something. Comment below and tell me what God spoke to you today. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because I promise you, someone in your life is walking through exactly what you just overcame. They need to know they're not alone. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell, because God is releasing more messages that are specifically designed for this season, for this generation, for you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying until the very end. That alone tells me your hunger for God is real. Now go walk after Jesus. The world is waiting for you to ascend.